Hey, it's Lisa, and I'm always cooking, and today I'm going to be making biscuits and gravy from scratch. For who?
For Aunt Katie, and who lives in Kansas, so she wants to know how to make biscuits and gravy.
So we're gonna make biscuits and gravy. You can absolutely use biscuits from a can here. I have done that many times. I am also not the greatest baker, so I am not going to claim this recipe as my own. This is the stay-at-home chef's recipe, and I will link her recipe in the description box below. I like this recipe because it is very versatile. You can either use butter or shortening, and then either milk or buttermilk. And I started by making my own buttermilk with 1 tablespoon of vinegar and 1 cup of milk. Here I crumbled the cold butter into the flour with my hands. You can use a pastry cutter or a box grater to grate the butter and then mix it in with the flour, but I'm comfortable with my hands. And when you mix everything together, the dough will seem like it barely comes together, but I over-poured my milk. So my dough became a little sticky, so I had to add more flour. Place the dough on the counter and press it into a rectangular shape, making sure it's all about 1 inch thick. And then cut the dough in half the long way and into 3 to 4 pieces the short way, so you end up with 6 to 8 pieces. I mean, why bother with punching out rounds if it's going to sit under gravy anyway? And then after you place it on a baking sheet, give it a little brush with some milk just to give it some sheen, and then off they go into a 425-degree oven for 15 to 20 minutes. This first ingredient is untraditional, and it is completely optional. 1 sliced onion sliced into quarter moons. 1 pound of breakfast sausage. I am using turkey sausage, but you can use pork sausage or you can use the veggie crumbles. 4 tablespoons of butter. And for the seasonings, I have 1 teaspoon of sage, 1 teaspoon of thyme, 1 teaspoon of mustard powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder. 1 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of fresh cracked black pepper, 1/2 cup of flour, and 1/2 ounce of a stronger cheese like Swiss or Parmesan. You're only using this for flavor. And about 4 cups of milk. This is all going to depend on how thick or how thin you like your gravy. And finally, some fresh parsley. If you don't have any fresh parsley, you can just throw in anywhere between 1/2 teaspoon and 1 teaspoon of parsley into your dried herbs and seasonings. Melt 1 tablespoon of butter over a medium flame and add your onions and saute them until they're softened and just about starting to turn brown. Add in another tablespoon of butter and the sausage. And if you have omitted the onions and are starting with the browning step, you'll want to start with 2 tablespoons of butter and brown the sausage. Add the remaining 2 tablespoons of butter along with some salt, pepper, and the rest of the herbs and spices. Give it a stir, and then you'll want to stir in the 1/2 cup of flour and cook that for about 2 to 3 minutes, just to kind of cook off the taste of the flour. Now here is where you're going to be adding in your milk, 1 cup at a time, stirring completely. Once it thickens, add another cup. When you get to the last cup, add that a little bit at a time until it reaches your desired consistency. If you do feel like you want it still a little bit thinner, then add more milk. And I usually drop in the cheese before I add in the last cup of milk. When you're done, taste for seasoning, add salt and pepper if needed, and the fresh parsley. So here we have our biscuits.
Round of applause.
And here's our bowl of gravy.
Round of applause.
And here is our finished biscuits and gravy.
Round of applause.
Aunt Katie, I hope you love it as much as our family does. Everybody, thanks for watching so much.
Peace.